Happy New Year, happy new video, new background, new home, new everything. Yes, as you can tell, things look a little bit different in here than they used to. I do have a new background and I have moved into a new apartment. I'm living with a roommate now, a friend of mine, and we're very much having a good time. It's been almost 6 months, which is kind of crazy. And it's been a little bit longer than that since I made my last video, so I definitely apologize for that. I am definitely looking forward to making videos again. It's been a long time coming, and I wanted to kick things off this year by talking about my favorite movies, what I consider the best of 2021. I put together 15 movies and gave them each a Best Genre Award, as well as 10 honorable mentions for you guys. I thought this was a great year for film. There was a lot of movies I got to go see in theaters, and that was so exciting, just being able to see movies in the theater again. It was just something I really needed after not having that for most of last year. Well, 2 years ago now, 2020. They're all blending together. So let's go ahead and kick things off with those 10 honorable mentions as I promised. The Mauritanian was a very interesting film. I love the performances. I just really got into the story, and I couldn't believe that something like this actually happened. If you are not familiar with it, or if you didn't get a chance to see it last year, I highly recommend checking it out. This was definitely one of those films that surprised me, and I hope that you guys will get a chance to see it. Psycho Goreman, or PG for short, is one of the best horror comedies I've seen in the last 5 years. It was so fun and surprising. I was just not sure what I was getting myself into. I love the performances, especially from the young cast. It was a great time, very charming, memorable scenes and quotes, all sorts of stuff. You really have to see this one if you are a horror comedy person, or even if you're not. It is just a great time. Watch it with a group of people if you get a chance. The Paper Tiger is one of my favorite action comedies that came out this year. Another great time, lots of good action, hilarious, great cast, fun story. I just thought this film overall had everything I wanted. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. Just one of those that you can put on anytime and enjoy. Also has lots of great quotes and things that I continue to reference from time and time again. So definitely one I think you guys should check out. Cruella de Vil. Yes, Cruella. I did not see this coming from Disney. I didn't think that they were going to make this film really all that interesting or as good as it was. I think they actually pushed the boundaries a little bit further than I was expecting as well, and I give them props for that. Great performances and production design. This one was definitely fun, and I am curious if they're gonna actually make more. Nobody, starring my boy Bob Odenkirk from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, was a really fun movie. The popular thing to say is that it's kind of like a snarky John Wick, and for the most part it certainly is, but I feel like this film stood out on its own. I don't like to really compare it too much to John Wick, but I really enjoyed it. One that I would like to revisit soon because I feel like it went by so quickly, and there are parts of it that I think will improve on second viewing. Little Fish was one of my favorite indie films this year, starring two young actors that I really enjoy, Olivia Cooke as well as Jack O'Connell. This was a great, I guess, pandemic sci-fi romance, even though this was completely shot and made without the actual pandemic we're going through in mind. This movie has a lot of interesting ways it tells its story, and I really came to appreciate it. The Last Duel was a very interesting film from Ridley Scott. It almost feels like it's setting out to be a grand, fantasy epic, but it slowly turns into something much more with its Rashomon style storytelling of 3 different people and their takes on the same event. Once the third act rolls around is when things really come clear, and we see that this film is much more underneath the surface. I think this is a very important film, not only for what it's trying to say about what times were like back then, but for the most part, there are, in many cases, a lot of the same issues going on in other countries around the world today as well. Supernova was a great drama romance. It was such a sad but beautiful look at a relationship and how people deal with things at a certain stage in someone's life. The performances were so good, I thought I was watching actual people, like a documentary practically. This indie film is well worth your time, and I really hope some of you will get a chance to see it, as there's a lot of great things to take away from it. No Time to Die was one of the best action films that I watched this year. Daniel Craig's final performance as James Bond, and To be honest, it made me want to actually go back and rewatch all of the Daniel Craig films. There's many that I actually have not seen, and this was one that I was very happy. You didn't need to necessarily know a whole lot going into it, but of course it does help. It's a great looking film, pretty much gives you everything you want out of a James Bond movie. But even people who aren't a fan of the franchise can still find things to appreciate it, which is always good. And the last honorable mention, A Quiet Place Part 2. Even though I don't think the first A Quiet Place needed a follow-up, I couldn't believe how well done this one actually was. It is pretty much neck and neck for me as far as which one I think is better, because they are just so darn good. But it also feels like you're essentially watching a complete part 2 of something else. You could essentially watch both films back to back as one cut, and you would think that it is the exact same movie. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do next, if they do plan to make a third film, and this was definitely one of the better horror thriller films that came out this year. Alright guys, the wait is over. Let's go ahead and talk about my top 15. As I mentioned, these films are going to be ranked and also include a best genre. Now, I will say though that the last 5 films I truly loved, and they are slightly better overall for me than the rest.
Now hang on!
Luca was the best family film this year for me, simply because it just has this perfect blend of sort of a relaxing and kind of less stakes for a Pixar film than we're really used to. It just feels like a very light-hearted, but in a good way, movie that you could just put on and enjoy. I thought the animation style was actually kind of a nice breath of fresh air from Pixar, and while I don't know how well it will withstand the test of time compared to their other great films, I do think this one is well worth your time and just a great treat for everyone in your family.
Is this what you wanted?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was the best adventure film this year for me. I just really enjoyed this Marvel film as one of the best standalone features that they've done in recent memory. I do have a soft spot for kung fu films and pretty much anything along the veins of martial arts. And the fact that this film even references one of my favorites of all time, Kung Fu Hustle, as we see it in the background of Shang-Chi's room at one point in the film, made me realize that these filmmakers really cared about what they were trying to accomplish. And I absolutely loved the representation that was brought on screen. Yes, it is centered around the Marvel Universe, but this is very much a film you could enjoy on its own without ever having seen anything else.
Who has my tag?
Pig was the best thriller that I saw this year, and one of the more strange but pretty thought-provoking films that I really didn't see coming at all. But the biggest surprise about this film was the fact that Nicolas Cage was fantastic in it. A lot of people have said recently that he's sort of having a resurgence. A lot of films that he's done recently, whether it's Mandy, Color Out of Space, just to name a few, he's really starting to come into his own again, and this film proves it. I honestly think he should be nominated for an Oscar. He has some great moments in this movie. Keep in mind, this is coming from somebody who used to just never give him a chance. But I have since changed my mind, and I'm pretty much excited for, I don't know, anything he might do these days. Anyway, let's move on. Dune was hands down the best sci-fi film that came out this year. I just really came to appreciate this film as it went on. The performances, the set design, the cinematography, the sound, they really utilized Dolby Atmos to the upteenth level. This was perhaps one of the best theater experiences that I've had when it comes to sound. You can feel the seat just trembling every other scene with that bombastic soundtrack. I'm looking forward to seeing how things turn out. I really hope we get to see more from this. Denis Villeneuve is just such a fantastic filmmaker. I really hope this film gets the support that it needs so that we can see a follow-up.
Until the day we go from poverty to stock options. Today's all we got. so we cannot stop. This is our block in the heights.
In the Heights was perhaps the best romance films I saw this year. I'd say I could have given this film best musical, but you'll see why I gave it this one later on. First of all, I just really appreciated the representation and the originality that came across on screen. I really thought the musical numbers were fantastic. I love the way that they do a lot of the songs, especially when they incorporate hip-hop or different rapping elements. I love seeing breakout star Anthony Ramos really get his time to shine in this film, as well as all of these other cast members that we really haven't gotten to see much of before. I think I'm definitely a sucker for most musicals, but I really thought this one was well done, and I'm a little bummed out that it didn't quite get the support that I was hoping, but it definitely got a lot of great praise from critics, and I hope those of you who haven't gotten to see it yet will go and check it out sometime.
Can't go.
Riders of Justice was the best comedy. I will call it a dark comedy, as well as perhaps the best international film I saw last year. Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic. The supporting cast does a great job. I really enjoyed the story and the way it went. It's one that I didn't see coming at all. I had no idea what I was getting myself into with this film. No trailers, went in completely blind, and I came out just very surprised. This is one that I'm sure a lot of you haven't seen or heard of yet. So if you're looking for another great Mads Mikkelsen film to follow up something like Another Round that came out the year before, I'd say this is the next one that you need to check out. Judas and the Black Messiah was the best biography that we saw last year. I really think these performances from Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield were just fantastic. I really enjoyed the way this story was told. It wasn't too overbearing, and I appreciated kind of getting a sense of history that I never knew before. I will admit it's been a while since I've seen this film, and I definitely need to check it out again, so I don't have too much more to say about it, but trust me, it is one of those that if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely need to see it. It's got great visuals, cinematography, performances, and just something that I think is really important for people to know if they are not familiar with the Black Panther Party and some things that went on in that organization back in the day. Spider-Man No Way Home was the best fantasy film that came out last year and my favorite Marvel film of 2021. Even though I still haven't seen Eternals, I don't think that's going to change my mind when I do. I obviously can't say too much about this movie if you haven't seen it yet, but I absolutely loved the direction that it went. It is my favorite of all the Spider-Man films that I've seen, which, to be fair, is not that many, but I have seen all of the ones in the current Marvel Cinematic Universe. I do plan to go back and rewatch the older ones, but it pretty much gives you everything you want and more. It is certainly a fan service movie through in and throughout, but the performances and action, everything about it really stood out as one of the best films this year. If you're one of the few people who have not seen this film yet, I implore you to see it in theaters as soon as you get a chance. West Side Story was my favorite musical this year, possibly my favorite romance, but I'm going to go ahead and give that to In the Heights. I'm a sucker for West Side Story. I grew up watching the original film because it's one of, if not my mom's favorite movies of all time, and I thought this remake was just incredible. Steven Spielberg's passion to remake this film truly shows because he did pretty much everything you could do to make this as great of a film as possible without diminishing the original in any way, making it stand out on its own as a completely similar but also different take on West Side Story. I'm happy to see that this story still holds up today, and I am so excited for more people to get a chance to see this film. I'm really hoping that people will check it out in theaters while it's still there, but definitely give it a chance once it's finally out. It is one of the best films of the year for sure.
Everything will be all right. I promise you.
There's something funny going on.
The Father was the best mystery, which might be an odd way to define this film, but I'm going to call it that in some aspects because of what we experience through Anthony Hopkins' character. There's so much mystery to what is happening in the film, and we are constantly trying to figure out what's going on as we are experiencing the same memory issues that he is throughout the entire movie. Not only that, but this film is just devastating. I don't remember the last time that I watched a movie since this one, and I recall just feeling so just saddened by what I had seen. It's definitely hard to watch in some parts, and a movie that I'm not sure I would see myself revisiting anytime soon, but damn if it is not a great movie that I highly recommend everyone see at least once. Down to the top 5. Last Night in Soho gave me everything I wanted from an Edgar Wright film. I love this movie. I saw it twice in theaters. I was so excited that he was going for a horror-esque film. It's not the most scary film in the world by any means, but it is definitely a horror film, as we see in the themes and the events that take place throughout the movie. Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie were absolutely fantastic, and it was very nice to see the final performances from Diana Rigg and Terrence Stamp. This is a movie that I really hope people will give a chance and check it out if you haven't seen it already. It is just a very unique film that I was really happy we got to see this year. It was my most anticipated film of 2021, and I'm really looking forward to checking it out again when I can buy it.
It's a day of reckoning. For everyone.
Promising Young Woman was the best crime film for me this year. I absolutely enjoyed this film. Carey Mulligan was phenomenal. I really liked the ending. It was one of the best endings of recent memory. I just really enjoyed everything about how this film was told, and it was so surprising. I enjoyed the music, and all the supporting cast did a great job as well. This is one of the more surprising films of the year for me, as I really had no idea what I was getting into when I saw it. I really think this is one of those that everyone should check out when they get a chance. Obviously, if you're old enough. It absolutely deserved every award that it won this past season.
Why would someone build that?
The Mitchells vs. the Machines was perhaps the best animated film that came out this year. It was phenomenal. I'm really enjoying Sony Pictures animation ever since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. In many ways, this film is a lot like that film. It is chaotic, it is fun, it is crazy, and it is a great time. I just could not take my eyes off the screen throughout this movie. The visuals are fantastic, and the overall movie itself is really good as well. This one came out quietly on Netflix, which is a shame. I really wish that this one was played all across theaters. I really think it could have done fantastic at the box office if given the chance. It is most assuredly going to be a Best Animated Feature nominee, and I hope those of you who haven't seen it yet will give it a chance.
Mayona.
Demon Slayer Mugen Train was the best action film that I saw this year. The sequences throughout the movie were just amazing. It is eye candy and just crazy fun storytelling and all sorts of stuff. Pretty much everything you could expect from an epic anime film. Of course, it is something that you cannot see unless you have seen the series, as it pretty much follows directly past the last episode of the first season. But man, oh man, is it worth the investment to check this one out. If you're a fan of anime, this one is something that is a must-see. It is on the level of Dragon Ball Super Broly and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in terms of its animation quality and the overall chaoticness and just things that will make your eyes explode from how colorful and epic it gets. Not only that, but it has one of the best heartfelt endings that we have seen in a long time, just from films in general. I thought it was very powerful and moving. I just think everyone should get a chance to see this film. Even if you're not a fan of anime in general, maybe try the series, and if you can get through that, definitely check out this movie.
You okay?
Minari was my favorite film and best drama from 2021. I loved this movie. Steven Yeun, all the actors in this film were fantastic, and I just fell in love with the story, the family, everything that this film offered. I enjoyed, and I savored every moment of it. It is such a simple story, but told so beautifully, and I just couldn't believe how good of a job that the first-time director, his name is not coming to me right now, but I just thought this whole movie was fantastic. I was pretty bummed that it didn't win Best Picture, although I was not surprised given that Nomadland was a heavy favorite. And while I do think that was a great film as well, I just simply loved Minari more, and that's why it was and is my favorite film of 2021. If you have not seen it, if there's one film you need to check out from this list, that is the one that I will say to watch. And there you have it, guys. Those are my favorite films, the best of the best from 2021. What a year. And of course, they are all Dyligent picks. I'm really curious to hear what you guys watched this past year, what your favorites were, if any of them were on my list or if they were completely different. I'm just astounded by how many movies came out last year after everything got pushed back. And of course, there are still so many movies that have been pushed back that are now coming out in 2022. It's going to be another exciting year. I can feel it. Let's hope theaters can stay open and we can keep going and supporting film. I'm hoping to make more videos for you guys soon, get back into a little bit of a rhythm. I know it's been a while, but trust me, I haven't done this in a while, but I always enjoy doing videos when I find the time. As always, guys, my name is Dylan, and if you love entertainment, subscribe to my channel while this video ends and send me a thumbs up before you go. Thanks for watching, and stay diligent.